So what lore shall we tackle next? Mimics. That's right. This video, we're going to talk about mimics. Those who know me as a dungeon master, i.e. my players, know that mimics are among my favorites in the monster world of D&D. Before we started streaming our current campaign, which you can now watch live on Twitch or later on our YouTube channel, I had two mimics separately in the world of a Seraphine encounter the party, and they were both scenes that got pretty crazy for different reasons. What I like most about them is how goofy they can be if you get creative enough. I've seen tons of amazing artwork where a mimic became a lamp, a scarf, or even a ladder leading down into a dark hole, aka its mouth. And even coffins as mimics too, which I think is a really cool spin. And I just really like the endless possibilities of what they could polymorph into. Plus, I always give my mimics a high-pitched, nasally voice when they do speak, and that's always fun to play. So to begin with, these polymorphic creatures of torment in the Seraphine, mimics are shape-shifting predators that can change their appearance to resemble, without flaw, inanimate objects to lure unknowing prey to their deaths. Being creatures of evolution, mimics have found that taking on the forms of chests, doors, and barrels attract their prey much more than other appearances they could become. A mimic has 3 different stages of appearance. The first is a gray sludge, not too far off from the appearance of gray ooze, but with many eyes, a large teeth-filled maw, and pseudopods protruding from it. This is the form a mimic takes when it has nothing in mind to take on the visage of a sad, dull, bland heap of goop. The second stage of appearance a mimic can take is a mimic in the form of an inanimate object. Once the mimic has seen an inanimate object, it can turn into said object at will and be indistinguishable from the reference. The third stage of appearance is a halfway between the two previously mentioned. A mimic, like the one I'm painting now, becomes a crossbreed of the object and itself, making it quite the sight of a monstrous chest, door, barrel, or whatever else it decides to become. This is the usual visage mimic prey gets to witness before it gets eaten alive. A mimic is a neutral monstrosity whose size can vary depending on the shape it mimics. In a Seraphine, a mimic can grow to gargantuan sizes if it's fed and lived long enough. Ancient mimics take on the visage of houses and sometimes even manors. Just think of the movie Monster House if you want a point of visual reference. Mimics live and hunt alone, but there have been instances of shared feeding grounds, such as in a dungeon. And although mimics normally can't speak, those that have lived long enough start to develop the tongue of the things it's eaten most of, and can gain at most an average intelligence, even going so far as to making bargains with travelers. Bargains such as food for safe passage or food for valuable information. Nobody knows for fact how mimics came to be, but theories suggest that a lich spent their time experimenting on changelings long ago, and the poor beings were tainted so much that they morphed into a sad, goop-like state, only knowing hunger and the art of mimicry they were innately born with. Mimics have some component value to them, as mimic saliva is used as a key ingredient to polymorph spells and potions in a Seraphine. A vial of mimic saliva can fetch a pretty coin depending on where you go, and the organs of a mimic, if harvested correctly, can fetch suppliers anywhere between 100 to 500 gold pieces, depending of course on the buyer and quantity. Mimic organs are useful to researchers studying the creature's ability to transform and consume, as well as understanding their past. A mimic's tooth secretes a potent acid which can be harvested by trained alchemists and those proficient in medicine with the proper tools. Hags have been known to buy mimic pseudopods and tongues from merchants and use them in their magical evil doings and assisting their ability to take on the visage of beautiful women. A mimic that has been killed in its halfway form has value as well. If it's still in good condition, taxidermists make the creature into works of furniture art for those with the taste for it, to purchase at high prices. Mimics have dark vision of 60 feet and a passive perception of 11 with immunities to acid damage and being knocked prone. A mimic has an adhesive state when it is in object form, allowing it to stick to a huge or smaller creature that touched it. I gave my mimics an escape DC of 14 strength to get away, and the check also has disadvantage since this is how a mimic hunts, and they'd be quite skilled at it. Mimics in a Seraphine have a bite attack with a +7 to hit, dealing 1d8 plus 3 piercing damage and 1d8 acid damage if it lands its attack. They also have a pseudopod attack that has a +5 to hit, dealing 2d8 plus 3 bludgeoning damage if the attack lands. The mimic's chosen shape influences its AC and its HP, varying depending on how long it's lived. Younger mimics can have anywhere between 58 to 70 HP, while ancient mimics can have anywhere between 100 and 200 HP. Those of you who are checking the monster manual right now, yes, I know, my mimics are different from 5e, but as I said before, this is my game. I'll have my monsters as difficult as I want them to be. Mimics can often be found in dungeons, but truth be told, they really could be anywhere. Maybe even that tankard you're about to drink from, adventurer. Those of you who are here mostly for the painting information, once again I am using Warhammer paints, and I purchased these minis from a game store out here in LA called Next Gen Games. They have a great selection of minis there and a truly wonderful staff. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but we should all support our local game stores when we can. I began this paint with a lighter brown all over, and then a purple-gray color for the mouth region and tongue as my bases. Following that, I did a golden base on the barrel's metal parts, and a bony white for the teeth and eye whites. Next, I cleaned up my painting by going in again with the brown base paint to clean up the gold and purple that had slipped into my brown territory. Next, I went over the entire mini in a dark gray wash and let that dry to fill in those darker wood crevices. Then I did a light yellow ochre dry brush over the whole mini to give the barrel some color range, and once again cleaned up areas I didn't like with the same bases I used before. Once all that was done, I painted with the gold 2 capital R's back to back for a nice little homage to our D&D group, the Risky Rollers for Fun. After the painting was done, I let the mini dry and then glued it to its plastic base and waited for the glue to dry. Well, that's all for this video, folks. I hope you had fun watching me paint and listening to me talk about mimics in a Seraphine. If you liked this video and some of the ideas or things I said that are Seraphine specific, please feel free to use it in your stories and campaigns, and tag me in it if you do. I'd love to see how you put your spin on things and what you liked enough to include in your world. If there is anything that you have questions about or want me to talk about in more detail, just comment below and I will do my best to respond as soon as possible. If you want to know more about the world in which these creatures live, consider checking out our campaign, which you can watch live on Twitch or even here on our very own YouTube channel. We are a group of best friends who love telling stories and playing games and want to share our world's lore and characters with you all. If you do take the time to catch up and watch our campaign, and there is a character, place, or creature that interests you and that you want to know more about, please comment below what it is and I'll make a video about it to give more information. Thanks again for watching, everyone. I hope after this you all grew to love mimics just a little bit more, as I sure have. Although the changeling information is a little sad. But then again, it's just theory. Happy rolling, and have a truly wonderful day, rollers.